Hey, how are ya? Boy, this lighting makes me look like I have bags under my eyes. Anyway, I am here talking to you about deflectors um, and how to use them, and not so much when to use them. That's something that we have to determine. You have to determine for yourself. That's another actual part of the self-control tool, is how to determine whether a situation is worth addressing. But the beauty of deflectors is, even if you're not sure, you use these deflectors and you can take care of that later. Because in the moment, what you're trying to do is you're trying to save learning time, right? Because we're avoiding the escalating situations where you have a conversation with a student unnecessarily and learning time is lost. Or we can even try to deflect situations where the students could be really, really agitated. Okay, so deflectors are awesome for that. I do want to say, before I go into how to use deflectors and what they actually are, we know the purpose of them, right? Is to deflect the situation to not lose learning time. But also, another tool that's super important for us to be using is the care component tool, because a deflector in and of itself is can seem like you're brushing off the student. You don't want that. You want to develop the care component tool for many, many reasons. Just for itself, just is a great thing to have relationships and good relationships with your students, right? The care component is your care versus praise, right? And building relationships and building community. And so that's super important. But also, the deflectors are important. They work hand in hand. Usually when we're using the deflector, which is a problem solving tool, okay, because we use these seven tools to build an environment where students will succeed behaviorally. But we also use these same seven tools to problem solve. And that's what we're doing right now. We're in a problem solving situation where we think, which tool would work? Which tool would fix this behavior? So if a student is saying something, then we need to use deflectors and stuff. We need to also make sure that they know that we care about them. Okay, so I'm going to say double dose on the care component. Whenever you use the deflectors, you find that you're using deflectors on the same student or whatever student you are using deflectors on, we need to be developing those relationships really, really deeply with these students, okay? All right, so deflector is something it's a phrase that is validating to the student, but yet shuts down the situation. So for example, I'm going to use the situation with my student. Again, I gave this example on my Facebook Live, but that may not come through, so I'm going to give it again. And I'm embarrassed to say this. Well, not really. It's kind of funny because I had this little student, and oh goodness, he was behind in everything. It was a 6th grade class. He really was behind in everything, and it was really frustrating. School was frustrating for him. So anyway, during our reading time, I wanted him to come over to me at the kidney table. And he had just had enough of school and me and everything. And he just said, I don't want to, And I said, well, and I just tried to keep getting him to come. I need you to come here. And he said, you are the worst teacher ever. Okay, so we're going to use that one. You are the worst teacher ever. Top that one. Okay, so anyway, so he says, you're the worst teacher ever. And I used my deflector. Now, I understand what you mean. I can see how you can feel that way. Maybe so. Maybe so is like the one I use the most. I understand. Just as simple as that. Gosh, I can't think of any more. I want you to think of some that you feel comfortable with, and you can post underneath and say, is this one okay? So what we want to stay away from are the ones that sound really sarcastic and snippy. Like, well, you should see me, or you should see me on a good day. I mean, you don't want to be saying things like that, right? Or yeah, well, tough, and so we want to be loving in our response. Okay, so he goes, you're the worst teacher ever. Maybe so, but I need you to. And then you go into the second part of a deflector use is redirecting the student. So if I say, I need you to come over here, and he'll say, I don't want to, you're the worst teacher ever. You say, maybe so, but I need you to come over here anyway. And actually, I want to change something because I keep saying I need you to, but really the wording is, we need you to come over here. And it's very important that you say we, because it is we. It's a community of we, and that's the and it doesn't only affect his learning, it affects everybody's learning. So again, let me rephrase that. So he says, I don't want to. I understand how you feel that way, but we need you to come here anyway. Okay, so that's it. Now you may be thinking, well, yeah, right. Okay, so if a student is really agitated, or this is not the first time around that you're having to use a deflector, and especially that this is the first time you are using deflectors, they're going to test you, and they're going to try to, but I don't want to. I understand, but we need you to come here anyway. Well, why? Well, we have reasons. We need you to come here. But I didn't understand. Well, I understand that you don't understand, but we need you to come here anyway. I mean, you just keep going. Now, I just kind of went on and on and on, but to be honest, even in situations where I guest teach and I'm coming into the classroom for the first time, and these students are used to the teacher giving in or going into the whole explanations. Well, why do I have to? I don't want to. Well, I know you don't want to, but this is what we need to know. All that explanation, if a student is used to that, they're going to continue to push. And because you have the care component, you're not pushing back. You know what I mean? Like it's a little bit more, it's a little less abrasive, because they understand that you care about them, right? So it's very important to use that tool in the problem-solving situation like this. So okay, my point was that even in new situations where I've just met students or whatever the situation, honestly, it works every single time. I mean, I think the most I had to use it was a student. He was in middle school, and it was just, this kid, I just kept using it, and I probably used it like 5 times. I understand, I just sound like a broken record, right? But I used it, and he eventually did it. They'll be like, huh. But honestly, it does not ever take that long. It's just really quick, especially if you're firm, right? I understand how you feel, but we need you to come here anyway. I understand how you feel, but we need you to open up your book anyway. I know how you feel, but we need you to get in line anyway. Okay, so we need, right? And so and I have to go back to that story about that student that I had to use it like 5 times in one sitting. And honestly, through care component and through being firm that way and through extra praise, which is different from care. So and that's something we talk about in the care component tool system, is that, care is different from praise. But I gave him praise and I gave him care, and he just became my best student and really loved it. And just was really, it was really a great community relationship building situation. Okay, so that's how you use deflectors. As a review, you have to be loading on the care, especially, just make sure that that's really what you're doing. If you have questions about that component, ask me. Comment below, and I'll give you what that means. But also, so you say the deflector, pick one that you like and practice it at home. One that you like, maybe so. I understand how you feel, okay? So you use the deflector phrase, and then you say, but we need you to, and then you restate the request. And then you leave it. And you, like, in terms of leaving it, I mean, sometimes you just walk away. Sometimes walk away, trusting that they will do it, right? This is not a power struggle. You're not checking to see if they do it. I understand how you feel. We need you to come here anyway. And then you go to another student and assist them. And then they'll do it, and you check back with them, and they will do it. I can't stress more how wonderful this works. Now, there are also, I mentioned two components, 2 tools, but there are 7. And so as we've established and really utilized 7 of the tools, then you're not trying to play catch up. But sometimes we have to bust out these, a few of these 7 tools when we problem solve. But if we have these 7 tools in place at the beginning, then we're being proactive and not reactive, and it's much, much better for the students, and you probably won't be having to be doing this very much. But when you do need it, then this is how you actually use it. All right, so I hope that helps. Comment below. Questions, tell me if this helped or not. Let me know how this works for you, because it does work. It does work, and if it's not working, we have to figure out why, because it works. And maybe there's some other tool that we need to bring in, but bottom line is this stuff does work. These tools in conjunction with one another do work. I'm just throwing out the deflector component of the self-control tool, one of the 7 tools, but I promise, I mean, these work, and and I want them to work for you. So comment below, let's have a discussion, and good luck with that. Have a great weekend.